Hi, welcome back to Japan Soul Traveler. Today I was very unsure about what to talk to you about, and I have a few topics in mind that I would like to share with you, but today I think I will have to go back to my memories and think and talk about one of the most beautiful places. Again, they are all beautiful, but this is a special place, let's say, a very special place in Japan. I'm talking about Hiroshima. Hiroshima is a city that I think everyone in the world knows, at least for its tragic story and the tragic event of August 6, 1945, when the atomic bomb was dropped over the city and destroyed everything there. So I think everyone is a little bit familiar with the place and heard about it times and times and times again. Sometimes this also has a very particular effects on the imagination that people has with regards with the city, because I think it's normal when you know about such a tragedy and such a catastrophe, you immediately associate the name Hiroshima to death or to, I don't know, to war or illness, everything that pops to your mind when you think about atomic bomb. And of course these are a very important element in the city today, and they are very important when you visit the city, but I think that there is a very different atmosphere once you get there, and that's why I want to talk to you about Hiroshima. I went to Hiroshima twice. The first time in 2008 and the second in 2014. Yes. And both time I went there for a couple of days, more or less, in order to visit the city and to visit Miyajima, which is the very popular island in front of the city. But I will talk about it later. The first time I went there was on a small trip from my language school, and I arrived there with the notion that I was going into history, because I was going to visit some place that marked history so much, and in a way that was all that I expected. When I went there, I found out something extremely different. First of all, it was a bright summer day, and it was a little after the 14th August, so after Amour. And I remember arriving at the station and then taking one of the tramway, I don't know the proper name, I will look for it, that will lead you through the cities, like the small train on surface, the surface train that will lead you throughout the city, a little bit like in San Francisco, if you have the picture in mind. And I went from the station to my hotel, which was very close to the Peace Park. I don't know, I thought, wow, this is a very different feeling. I didn't expect this, because the city was really alive. I mean, people's living, working there, so of course it's a live city. But in a way it was like there was this very particular sense of power, in a way of joy, of energy. When I get to the hotel and we went out to dinner that night, it was amazing. The city was full of lights, and it was like a celebration all over for me, because I just expected to find history there, and I didn't expect the city to be such a joyous city. After that, of course, we had an amazing Okonomiyaki for dinner, Hiroshima style, which means with noodles inside the dish. And I remember that at night there was this amazing atmosphere, which was more like midsummer, but fresh air and dark blue skies, a lot of lights, a lot of stars. So it was like we were going to celebrate something. The second day I went to visit the Peace Memorial Museum with the park. And of course, that was why I was there in the first place. So that was the reason for my travel. And it's not something you are prepared to see, of course. So it was a very long visit, and of course it was very tragic. I mean, I studied a lot about history, I studied about that time, but when you enter the museum and you really dive into the tragedy and into the terrible moment, it's something you are not prepared for. So I took my time there, I looked at everything and I watched everything and I listened to everything, and there are very graphic moments also, and there are very touching remains also, like I don't know, toys of children that died during the bombing. So you finish the visit and you are exhausted. Of course you're physically exhausted because it's the whole morning, but you are emotionally exhausted because you really are not prepared for the emotional trauma. I later went in the park, and while walking in the park I relaxed a little bit. Of course it's always still a commemoration for the day, but in a way it's you are in nature, you are among trees and rivers and water, and you can in a way regenerate. And at the end of the walk, the dome is something that touched my soul in a way I didn't expect. It's probably the most popular, the most famous, the most recognizable symbol of Hiroshima. It's the huge Western style building that still remain after the bombing, the only one that actually survived the bombing, and it's still there. And you have this very round dome, greenish dome, with all the architectural elements falling apart for the bombing. And it's very strange to stay there and stare at the monument, because it seems like it's the monument itself that stares at you. In a way it's like you are there and he's admonishing you, probably, or it's looking around and looking over the city saying, I'm still here, I remember what happened, and the city is alive. So I'm here because it's right to remember, and I'm here because I'm the proof that whatever happened here, in a way, life prevails. So it's at the same time terrible, very terrible memento, and a very reassuring promise, because it seems to say, yes, I remember the tragedy, I remember the death that occurred here, but I could also see that life arrived again in time. It's a quite poetic description, of course. It's not what everyone will feel when they look at the building, and it's not what people usually maybe think about it, but both time I went there, it was like I met some living creature, not just a building. Of course the city is dotted with a lot of places to visit, and I will post you some link in the description so that maybe you can have a few idea, because there is a castle there, a traditional castle, traditional Japanese castle, and there are also a lot of shopping districts, so you can have both sacred and profane in a way. And the reason why I didn't spend so much time in a place in Hiroshima like the said castle is because I wanted to visit Miyajima. Miyajima is, again, I think it's one of the most iconic places of Japan, most iconic places all over the world, and I think it deserved a visit. Even if you are not into touristic spots, and even if you don't like to see what everybody want to visit, Miyajima is an exception, and I think everyone should see it and visit it once in a lifetime. Miyajima is a small island in front of Hiroshima Bay, in front of the harbor. You have to take a small boat to go there it's like 30 minutes crossing, and of course the moment you are going to arrive there you immediately spot the floating torii, which is the very popular red gate in the water. And when you see that, you realize, okay, I'm going someplace magic. And indeed you are, because you go there, you arrive on the island, and you're welcomed by thousands of deers, much like Nara, if you're familiar. And well, there are lots and lots of Shinto shrines and temples, Buddhist temples there. So again, I will put some specific indication in the description. But I think Ikotsushima Jinja, which is the bright red place there, is, well, it's worth the trip. I mean, it's amazing. It is in the sea, but because of the tide, sometimes you see the land, and sometimes it disappears in the water. And it's a very traditional Shinto place, so you will see Shinto priests with the blue akama and the miko with the red akama, the pants, the traditional Japanese pants. Well, there will be, usually there is a lot of people there, a lot of tourists, and so you will take some time, it will take some time to finish the visit there. And once you finish, there are in the back of the island, just like in the little mountains that you find there, some amazing places that deserve the visits. Again, I will post a picture and the name because I don't want to go too far in the video, but of course it's like you find in that place the core, the pure heart of Japanese religion all together. So Buddhist, Shinto, and some syncretic element. There are pagodas there, and then there are deers, and of course there's food, because you won't go anywhere without food. But I really think that in a way it's like it's helping you healing from the visit to Hiroshima, and from the terrible and amazing emotion that you experienced there. So thank you so much for listening and for watching, and I will talk to you soon about some other places of amazing Japan. Thanks, bye.